Hello and welcome back to a new episode of SwiftUI Elements. Today we will talk about text fields, so let's get started. So for the text field, let's prepare a little bit of the example code. So let's put that one into the VStack. And yeah, we will leave the text there. So text fields, how can we use them and what can we do with them? So normally when the user has to enter a text, for example, email address or password or something like that, you normally use a text field. So let's have a look. Text field. And we have several possibilities to initialize the text field. So let's start with the simple one. So we get it a title. So my awesome text field. And it needs a binding where it can store the text. So let's add a state. My text. It's a string. And we start with an empty one. So then we add it here. $my text. And when we now resume the preview, we should see the text element. It takes a little bit of time to re-render it. So here we can see it. What you can see is the text we added here is used as a placeholder when the text is empty. So let's make some adjustments so we can see the text field a little bit better. For that, we introduce a little bit of padding on the VStack, so everything is a little bit pushed to the middle. So to show the text field a little bit better, we can apply, like the other UI elements, we can apply a style element, and this one has a text field style. And we have a plain one and a rounded border one. So let's use the rounded border. So the text field gets a rounded border. So let's add it. And now you could see a rounded border is added. When I tap on the text field, you get a cursor and I can add some kind of text. And I also can use a long text. And as you can see, when the width is not enough, it starts to scroll. So let's remove everything. So sometimes you don't want it to only have one row. So we can say we set a line limit, for example, to 2. And as you can see, when I now start typing, I get the same behavior. It's one line, and nothing has changed. So if you want to have an auto-crowing text field, you need a line limit if you want to limit it to a specific amount of lines. And then we have to add another thing in the initializer, and we have a parameter which is called axis. And there I can say horizontal, that's the default behavior, or I set it to vertical. And now, when I add a text and I press Shift and Shift Enter doesn't work here. So when I add a text and the space is not enough, it gets a second line, and that is repeated till we hit the line limit. Now it's 2, and as you can see, I can add a longer text, and then it's scrolling vertically. I can scroll back, and so on. So mostly we would say 5 lines, and then just add another text to see it. 1, 2 lines, 3 lines, 4 lines, and the 5th line. So that's how you can do a multi-line text field or auto-crowing text field. So what else do we have? We have we can format the text input. So for that, just let me add another text field. and I will call it my second text field. So let me add another variable. Now we say value, and now it's not a string anymore. So let's do a double and start with 0. And then we'll use the initializer with a value. It needs a binding, so $value. And now what's missing? Yeah, now it needs an additional value, which can be either format or formatter. Formatter is used when you want to add a custom formatter, and the format is using standard formatters already defined for the text field. So when you hit dot, you get the code completion. So you can add a formatter for datetime, ISO 8601, number, percentage, URL, currency, names, and so on. So let's start with a number. And now when the preview re-renders, we should see the new value here. So let me add a rounded border also to the second text field so we can see it a little bit better. So the 0 is in. And when I now enter 1000, for example, and when I press return, then I can see the 1000 is reformatted, and it gets a comma to separate, to make it more clear, the 1000 step. So if I would add 3 more zeros, then I get a second one, and so on. What I also can do is here, when I use the %, then it gets re-rendered, and we get a percentage sign at the back, and I can say 32.2, for example, and it all automatically gets formatted. That's the formatter stuff in a text field. So now what else can we do? We can add additional stuff to the text field. For example, we can say the text input, we want auto capitalization, and here we can say characters never auto capitalize a sentence or even the words. So let's start for words. And now I type everything with lowercase letters. There, as you can see, so on. And as you can see, every word starts with an uppercase letter. So when I change this to sentences, let's wait to restart the preview. Hello there. Nice to meet you. And as you can see, the N is automatically uppercase and all the stuff, the rest lowercase. That's the auto capitalization. Also what we can do, if I remove that, I can say I want to disable autocorrection. With true, then no autocorrection happens. The default is false. And now, now imagine we have some kind of registration page or something, and we have 2 text fields, and we want to add a name and a password, for example. So let's change that back to a normal one, text value, and we change this one to a string, like that. Restart the preview. And now let's rename that to first text field. And now let's start the real simulator, because I need a keyboard. So when I tap on the first text field, the keyboard gets displayed. When I hit return, I get a new line, and so on. but I can't move to the next text field. So for that, or to show it a little bit better, let's remove the vertical thing. So we only get one line. We also remove the line limit. Imagine the first thing is my name. And when I have the keyboard and I hit return on the keyboard, it gets dismissed. But I also want to add or input text into the second field. So what can we do? We need something which is called focus, and I want automatically change the focus to the next field when I hit return. So how do we do that? So first thing, we need to define some kind of focus states or some kind of enum, which where we can add the values to each text field. So let's call it for now focus state. And it has a case first field and second field. I need a comma here, not a dot. So now we have the state. What else do we need? We need to hold the state in a variable. And because we want to use it as a focus state, there is a focus state here. And then I add like a state. I said focus, and this thing is of type focus state. And I say it's an optional because at start we don't have one. And why is it complaining? What is the problem? Because I maybe shouldn't call it focus state because it has the same name. So let's say focus field, and we have also do focus field here. And now it should be good. Perfect. And now we have to say, okay, the first text field is focused. We use the binding of the focus state here. So we add $focus. And then we say this one gets focused when it equals first field. So the same thing we do with the second field, but now we add here second. So when we now rerun the app, as you can see, no focus here. When I tap it, type something, hit return, nothing happens. It's the same behavior like before because the focus variable or the focus state isn't set. It's null. So we have to say when the view appears. So on appear, for example, we set the state. So we say focus equals to first field. And now when I restart the simulator, as soon as the view appears, the first field gets the focus. So let's see. Started and directly get focus, and the keyboard is appearing. When I hit return, nothing happens again because it only gets dismissed. So what else do we have to do? So if I want to focus the second field when I hit return, I have to say on submit, because the return key on the keyboard is the on submit button. So on submit, I want to switch the focus, and I want to say if it's currently the first field, then we do focus equals second field. And in all other cases, because we don't just want to dismiss the keyboard there, we do nothing. But we can say, just for testing purpose, we add a printout. Everything is done. So let's rerun this. Replace. And now the first text field should get the focus. I enter something, and when I hit return, The second field gets the focus. I say that, return, disappear, because nothing is only dismissed. So that's how you can switch focus when entering stuff. And now imagine you want to add a form like a registration page, and you want to have the name and or email and a password field. So when you use a normal text field, the password would be visible on the screen. That's something you don't want. And for that, we have a special text field. It's called secure field. And all it does, it has a slightly different UI. So let's run it on a simulator to show you the difference. So the first one, normal text field, I hit return. Second field gets focused, that's our secure field. And when I now enter a text, it gets automatically hidden by those dots, like you know it on the iOS system. So I highly recommend for passwords or for stuff you don't want to show directly on the screen, use a secure field. And that's all for today's episode for text fields and secure fields. I hope you enjoyed it. See you next time.